Monday morning, everybody got a weekend story nobody asked for.
This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning, recording from my home studio here in Gilbert, Arizona. Coming up on today's show, Drew Bunkley is back in studio. What has he been up to? A career change. He does a lot with AI. We're going to learn about those technologies and some of his creations, and you won't want to miss it. One of them is quite a throwback to the mid to late 90s for those of us that were around at that time. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode coming up after this word from SparkForge Artist Foundry. If you run a business and you're tired of juggling tools, chasing logins, and constantly feeling like the tech side of things is heavier than it should be, this might hit close to home. That tech fatigue usually shows up as an outdated website, reviews slipping through the cracks, missed calls when you're busy, or social media that's always on the back burner. Most business owners know something's off, but fixing it feels like a bigger project than they have time for. SparkForge exists to take that weight off. It handles the tech behind the scenes, helps clean up how your business shows up online, makes sure calls and messages don't get mixed, keeps reviews from slipping through the cracks, and wrangles social marketing so you don't disappear for weeks. If you're curious, there's a short discovery session, and it comes with 90 days free to actually see if it makes things easier. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation about what's working, what's broken, and what you can simplify. So head over to getsparkforge.ai/hardparking to get started. Drew Bunkley, welcome. Welcome back to Hard Parking Studios. Tread and torque this time.
Jay, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to see you, man. You're looking good.
Looking better, man. So we have a lot to talk about today. You're doing some stuff in the AI space, which I 100% appreciate. And I respect you for, because I've tried to look at some of that, and I can only do some of the generative AI and some of the basic search, which is super fundamental compared to things that you're trying to do and things that you're able to do. And it's harder for, I call it adult learning. It's harder for adults to get into that space just because technology is just so different from us, even if we feel like we've been in technology our whole lives.
Yeah, we started a new business up. Left Carvana back in November. So I was working on some projects with one of my close friends. He's in California. He's an engineer, so computer engineer. And he wanted me to help him with some projects, so I just was getting really lost in it and just had to kind of dig in and kind of learn a little bit more. So it's taken a few months, but yeah, we've made some big improvements, some big changes in where we're going.
So you have a few things on the horizon, and so that's one of your projects then.
Yeah, so Tread and Torque, kind of rebranding. Originally, I wanted to set up like e-commerce, merchandise, and create a new brand. After we started the merchandise, basically, I just was looking at doing some different AI apps and different things. So really with having the company started, just decided, since I'm in automotive, the new name, just decided to start the company. And so we're doing app design, web design, smart designs for smart AI, smart bots for smart assistants, AI assistants, and those sort of things. So it ties right in with the new name.
So that's like the parent brand then.
Right. So Tread and Torque is basically my company, and then we're making apps and those sort of things. So underneath that, they have their own small companies because they'll probably be sold off.
What can you share, if anything, about the apps that you're doing? And if not much, then talk about kind of the idea to kind of go that way instead of back into corporate America, because you're a career car guy from your father to yourself. Always dealing with cars, car dealerships, buying and selling cars, some sort of a vehicle management. You know, how was the decision, or what was the decision like, or when did you come to the realization that you just wanted to kind of shift and try something else?
You know, it all started really falling back on things that I love doing, passion. So obviously the cars is my main passion, but also being creative. You know, I've got a pretty big following on Instagram. We've got our YouTube channel. So, you know, I love creating videos. I love editing. And so I wanted to see how I could make a profession out of that, but not really be the face. Getting a little older, you know? So I have to really think about reality and how to grow a channel. For me, it was not to be the face. It was to create something and build based off what I already have. So that's what I decided to do. Let's, figure out how we can use our creativity. And it really started off, I wanted to create an app to help me improve and do things. And once I started getting involved in creating them, I realized that this is something that other people could use. And then I decided to figure out, well, how can I market this? So that's pretty much how it all started.
Do you mess with personas at all? Look, I know the AI space is so huge. People think of AI, and I talked about this last week, or 2 weeks ago, they think of generative AI, the prompt base, the text, create me an image with 3 monkeys on a trampoline. Mm-hmm. Or like I say, hey, Grok, here's the transcript from this week's episode. Go through and please summarize it. Give me 4 to 5 sentences. Give me key chapter points. Give me YouTube tags separated by commas no more than 500 characters. Give me an HTML5 format for Spotify, and it does all that. And those 2 use cases are just completely different. But that, even in that, is completely different than the spaces that you're getting in for apps, productivity, commerce, more on the professional level.
Yeah. So for me, when I got involved with the AI, it was really to help me learn how to make and build things. So obviously I started off with the prompts, doing my videos. Yep. That was where I started using and learning how to do prompts, was making videos. Then it went to business, productivity, drafting letters, emails. Now I'm at the point where I use AI to actually operate and create code, design applications, actually run applications, test applitions without having any experience or any knowledge or any training in coding or IT. And I've learned that in the last 3 months. Am I 100% proficient? No, I'm learning every day. So that's the most important thing that I'm doing, is that I've opened my mind, though, to learn these things. And once I started realizing that it's not hard, you just have to have an open mind, and you have to just be willing to, educate yourself. It's something that anyone can do. So if I'm going to use this and change into a new field, I'm using technology to help guide me that way and to help keep me moving forward.
Are you going to try to maybe incorporate this into what you've always known your whole life, or just a completely different direction?
So I'm going into things that I've always had a passion for and ideas that come to my head. I've got about 8 to 9 different programs and things that I'm working on. And so, people like us, we have to kind of focus on 1 or 2 things and complete and then go on. So
what they say. Maybe that's my problem. I can't. I have too many things I have to focus on.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. And so, I meet with my partners. We do our Zoom calls there in California. And it's like, okay, we have to focus today, because he's the same way as I am. So we have to really look at, pinpoint where we want to accomplish today. Where do we see this being completed in the next week, and those type of things. So a lot of the apps that we're working on right now are actually ready to test. So we created a couples app. I did a wheel visualizer app that I changed into a rap visualizer. So we've got a lot of projects I'd love to talk about. I mean, there's nothing to hide. We've got a couple things that I'm doing for some clients. And the most important thing that I'm trying to do is find users and testers, because there's a lot of people that want to get involved in different things and they want to learn how to do and build different things, but they just need guidance and, direction.
So talk about them.
All right. My favorite is the rap visualizer. I think I sent that to you.
You did.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a really cool program. All this basically incorporates a lot of the different AI features like the Nano Banana Pro, the Gemini Pro. So a lot of these systems and tools you can build one app and incorporate different things into them. So I'm able to use a visualizer that I've put on a website that people can actually see. You can go in there, you can take a picture of your car, upload a file of your car. You can use 3M colors There's colors built right in. And then you can actually see what your car looks like with a different color on it. If you want to do a design, put your logo. So it's designed to be able to not necessarily cut out the middleman, but make it more productive for the wrap shops and for the client, because people see different things on other vehicles, but until you see it actually on your car, it may not look right, or it may have different curves. So I think it's a great product, and we're going to be marketing that and launching that commercially to shops.
Well, it's cool because I think of like Tire Rack, and you do the wheel visualizer, and you know bigger wheels but it still never looks right. It looks kind of dumb. It never looks right. And then you get the 2D versions of these things where you can see the side, the front, the rear, the top. Mm-hmm. But even that, you know, even when you can rotate it on the screen, it doesn't look right. You know, it's just like some sort of not even quite as good as a video game animation.
Right.
What you sent me, it looks like a photographer took the photo or a videographer took the photo out and about. Like if I were to go to a car meet and take a photo of my car that's already wrapped, you know, I think that's really special. But that in itself is just completely different than, so you have the couples thing, right? So contrast the difference between those two, and then why is there such a difference? Just because it's just more product.
Well, so couples, we created apps called Couch Play. Couch Play Pro is the official name of it, and it's a couples app. So my wife and I, we just had our 10-year anniversary. One thing that I noticed the last few years with social media, she's on one couch, I'm on the other couch, I'm on my phone, going through my feeds, doing my thing. She's doing the same thing. Turn a movie on, you know, we have to kind of make our time. And so what I decided to do was design an app that we could interact with each other while we're on our phones. And it kind of brings us closer together. So, and it creates games. So there's interactive 2-person games that we can do. There's trivia, there's TikTok challenges. So it has a lot of things in it to not just make it seem like this is boring, but to make it fun for couples. You can also go build date nights. So like winners for the week, they get to pick the date night, and you can build the date night within the app. Let you know what's in your area, and you can build long-term trips and bucket lists. And so it's really cool. So it gives people something to look forward to and to be able to plan together and to make it a little bit more interactive with couples when they're, you know, at home.
I guess the immediate thought is, why not just put your phones down and figure it out?
Why not? And that's the question they've been trying to answer, you know. Right. So the thing is, if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, things are moving forward just like with AI technology. I've listened to a lot of artists that, you know, do and don't like the way AI is coming forward. But one thing that they do agree on is if they don't start and learn how to use it, they're going to be left behind.
Right. Don't resist it, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just conceptually difficult for people to wrap their heads around. And it's the same deal. I think everybody listening, if you're in a relationship, unless you've just started dating the person, but if you're in a relationship that you've had for a while, it's the same deal. You know, maybe like I'm in here working in the office, working on YouTube videos. Yvette's, my wife's downstairs grinding through a show that my daughter put her on, or she's in the room watching something, you know. And then I've noticed at night, like we used to watch King of Queens together, hilarious fucking show, funny show, or Bobby Flay or something. But she'll be on her phone and I'll be watching TV, or we'll both be on our phones. I'm like, what are we doing? You know, so that's, I guess I get it. That's where the world is going, but it's crazy that that's just where we're at.
Yeah, there's a disconnect. And with technology advancing so much, it's hard to stay focused on a lot of things that are important. So what I wanted to do was create something that me and my wife could use together that would just give us more focus, you know, and especially since we like to do trips, I really concentrated on the trip builder. So it's called a Dreamscape. Allows you to go in and create dreams. And you can put in, you know, a year out, 2 years out, whatever the case might be. But it's just something that you can open up, you can see every day. You can go in, you can build itineraries. So it gives you day to day. If you do a 5-day trip, and it'll automatically give you a 5-day itinerary for things to do based off of what you want to spend and those sort of things. So it's pretty interactive, and it uses AI technology.
How scary was it, though? I mean, it has to be scary. I mean, you separate from Carvana. You're a grown man. You have bills. You're empty nesters, right? But still, I think the change is the number one thing that stops people from. The fear of change is what stops people from changing. People don't like their job. You say, if you don't like your job, quit. And it's always much easier to say, or I'm going to leave this job that I don't like, but if I take this other job for the same amount of money, or maybe it's a little less money, maybe it's a little bit more money, but I don't know if I'm going to like the people. I don't know if I like the atmosphere. Am I going to make a mistake? And so I stay where I'm at. And then in terms of separating from your employer, it's kind of the same deal. All I know is cars. I'm going to get back into the car business. I'm going to sell cars. That's what I'm comfortable with. But to take that leap, I think I alluded to that earlier, to take that leap, what was that like? Like, how scary is that?
It's scary, Jay. I mean, when you finish up with Carvana, you've got your savings in stock and you're like, let's see what we can do, ride this out, I've put in for other jobs, employment, but I decided just because of future goals that I have, if I want to travel, I want to work remote.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain things that I was looking at the end of, getting close to retirement. What do I want to do? How do I want to go out? Do I want continuous income? So these are things that people have to really look at within themselves. And I just made a decision that I'm going to go forward with this 100% because I've owned my own businesses. So it's not something that is new for me to start up. It's just a matter of let's see what people we can get into the right places and actually build out something the right way where it's going to be profitable and successful. But it's scary, man. I mean, I'm working every day. I'm on calls with people. Incomes doesn't come in on a weekly basis. So, having to make sacrifices right now is exactly what a person has to do in order to, get to those long-term goals that they have set.
Being away from what you've always known, I mean, everybody knows you, especially on this podcast, as my official Corvette guy. Are you finding yourself still as dialed in, or are you kind of dropping off, even though you're never going to drop it?
Right.
But just because you have to be so hyper-focused on what you're doing, because the content creation itself is completely changed, right? It's no longer, and you're still posting some of your other stuff, but I know, it's like,
Right.
okay, well, you're no longer really in that space, but that's content that you have that you can keep on posting, even though you've kind of left that behind. So what's that journey been like, and are you finding yourself still paying as much attention, I guess, because of what you're trying to do now?
Yeah, so I have lost a lot of attention on social media, but it refocuses to the next chapter.
Well, let me ask you this. So you've lost a lot of attention, so people have stopped paying attention to you, or you've stopped paying attention as much on social media?
I've stopped paying much attention. So I don't get on that frequently.
Yeah.
When I do, it's usually to make a post, and it's a post that I've had to condition myself to make because I get lost in what I'm doing now. But I do have plans for that, and the whole thing was to rebrand. So I was talking to a publicist, and they were basically like, whatever you're doing with your new products, just rebrand yourself since you already have the media. So I try to continue to do some posts and add in some new things to kind of test the market. Working on the new Lil Z. So that's something that I can do, and I have fun doing that because now I'm creating characters based off of an idea in my head. That was the hardest thing, man, trying to figure out how to get what's up here to other people can see visually. So,
do you want to talk about Lil Z a little bit?
Man, Lil Z is a rock and roller, man.
Yeah, it's funny. You sent me a couple of those videos.
Yeah, so I wanted to, like I said, I created a character. His name's Lil Z. He's a little dial type character, Corvette ZR1, right out of the box. Guy brings him home. ZR1 guy just got a new car, brings him home, and the character comes to life. So he's going to be doing car shows and talking smack. Obviously, Corvette being on top right now, he's got a lot to talk about. Mm-hmm. So
that'll be fun to see how you integrate that. So is your plan to integrate Lil Z in the real world, or to have Lil Z as, I guess you could with AI. That's the thing. We're in this crazy space now where you can literally have something on screen that doesn't exist.
Right.
with stuff that is real or realistic in a real world.
Right. Yeah. So I just made a 1 minute quick video on YouTube. Lil Z, you can check him out and you can see how he gets introduced. So how you doing though?
I'm good. Ish. No, I'm fine, man. I'm fine.
You got a lot going on.
I got stuff going on, yeah.
You want to talk about it?
I don't know.
Listen, a lot of people don't realize that. I know, Jay, you got a lot of stuff going on. You're president of the NSX Club.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of people may not realize you're president of the NSX Club. What does that role really mean to you?
It's a role that I didn't want. And so people said that's probably why I should be the president. And it's because, well, you know, why is that a role that I didn't want? It's because I'm so relationship driven. You know, I try to not to be too far on one opinion or the other. And the car world, as you know, is very bipolar, right? The cars bring us all together, but we could all be in the same parking lot and not really like what's on the other side of the parking lot. Or I'm having a personality issue with this person over here because this person over here doesn't like this person over here. So I've spent most of my life trying to be Switzerland. You know, I think everybody understands the reference of being Switzerland, neutral. But when you take a role of president of a club, you can't really be as neutral because you have to be focused on what is it going to take to move the club forward. Right. And the prior president, you know, I stepped in I was asked to step in as vice president when a person was, you know, no longer going to be vice president. But that condition of that, the expectation was for me to take over as president. Now I ran for president. And a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, some people took issue with that because I'm good friends with the prior president, but I also ran unopposed.
Right.
So you know, if you want to be president, step up.
Yeah, put your hand up.
Otherwise, shut your mouth, right? But I said, if we're going to do this, I say we, because you have to build your own administration. You have to build your own, you have to take the existing regionals, get them on the same page. And then you have to start forecasting for the future. And I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to make some big changes. We need to change the website. We need to give the members what they've been asking for years. Little stuff, little wins. They want a store. We haven't had a store in a long time. We finally gave them a store. Store's doing all right. Website's nowhere where I want it to be, but I think the members overall are kind of happy with it. But you know how I am. It's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? How do we improve? How do we improve the member experience? And so when we don't hit goals that we've told the members we were going to do, I take that personally. And I also get very upset. You know, I get upset at the club magazine sometimes. It's in a better place now, but if that's the one thing we're offering members, it's got to be the best thing we're giving them.
Sure.
And it hasn't always been, you know, and I've taken, as a creative myself, it's hard to be on top and be a very creative person and see some of these simple mistakes that a lot of times are just because people are lazy. And a lot of times you hear excuses. It's like, well, you know, we're all volunteered. We're in a volunteer position. I go, okay, well, we're in a volunteer position, but we're also elected officials. And so we have our duty to make things better. We can't be like, well, I'll do it when I'm working 40 hours a week. Well, if you're working 40 to 50 hours a week, then maybe you shouldn't decided to be an elected official, because guess what? I'm busy too.
Right.
I'm very busy. And myself, the vice president, you know, our current group of officers, which is the president, the vice president, the treasurer, and the secretary, club secretary. It's like a secretary of state. It's an incredibly important position. It's not like an administrative assistant secretary. And with the current regionals, you know, we have things that we need to do, and that's becoming president. It was a lot more work than I ever anticipated it being. And there's times where I've said, well, no wonder the club hasn't progressed, because getting everybody on the same page is hard. And you can give these speeches and everyone's like, yeah, I'm down. And the light is green and everyone's supposed to be walking. You turn around and half the people are still standing there. And it's like, okay, guys, if we're going to do this, we have to do it together. So that's why I'm president. This is an election year. I wasn't sure if I was going to run again, but I've been kind of told and suggested, and urged and nudged to do it again. So I think we're doing stuff for the most part right.
Well, that's good. You need more than one term.
Yeah.
To get it done right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's funny because it's a car club, but it's not like your local club. I mean, it's an international club. We have members all over the country. We have members all over the world. It's kind of a big deal. And the biggest fear about coming in and making all these changes, and you could apply the same thing to what's going on in America right now. The more drastic changes, they don't mean shit if the next person comes in and changes everything.
Right.
Or allows it to lapse. And so we have to make sure from the NSX Club, the stuff that we do is repeatable and is able to be carried on by the next group. And you got to make sure the next group isn't lazy. So the store still has to be maintained. The money has to be maintained. Everything that we're doing has to be maintained. Otherwise, it's going to fall back to where it was before. And it wasn't in a very good spot 6 to 8 years ago. With the current president, through me, things have been on the up and up. And we've just had success after success after success after success. And when we have a failure, I get pretty irate about it. And I say never again. But, none of these changes mean anything if they're not sustainable.
Gotcha. You guys just had a great show, I heard, a month or two ago, right? Up in
So NS Expo was in Seattle, Tacoma.
Yep.
And that took place last September of 2025. And this year it's going to be in Orlando.
Nice. When's that?
In October. And, we're working with the Orlando crew because this is what we do. People are like, hey, you should bring it to our place. And it's like, well, you need to get people in your area that are members to put together a formal proposal. What are the activities that you think we're going to be able to do? What hotels, what is there around there? What's the traffic situation? How easy is it from the airport? Like all these things matter. How much do you think it's going to cost? Because people have to pay to attend these events. And so we have to vet it. And then whoever puts together the best proposal, as we decide as a group, that's where we announce the next NS Expo. So for the first year, we've announced 2 years in a row. So this year is going to be Orlando. 2027 is going to be Cleveland. Now that could change if something were to fall through at Cleveland. But right now, the Cleveland team is starting to assemble. But it's hard to plan stuff over a year out. It's hard to, you can't get, a hotel to be like, 2 years out. They run everything 6 to 12 months out. Right. So.
Well, let me ask you this here. Let's switch to another note. I know you're involved in a lot of charities, and you've got one coming up. There's an event coming up with oneLESS and United Food Banks. Is that right? On the 21st?
So that's what I talk about every year. And it's, Mimi of Ride or Die, Mimi Morgan. She's been instrumental in this. And this is something that she and One Auto has done. This is our 8th one coming up with the United Food Bank. This year, our title sponsor is ELG, Accident Attorneys, which is great. NSX crew, a local law firm. Which, by the way, there's so many law firms, right? So when you're driving into Phoenix, every fucking billboard, there's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
But you hardly see ELG because they're very successful, but they don't really advertise on being ambulance chasers.
Right.
Personal injury attorneys, accident attorneys. But this is a big deal that's coming up February 21st at the United Food Bank here in Mesa. And it's a car show. It's a food drive to help feed the hungry. And I think right now the current statistic is 1 in 5 people go hungry in Arizona. But it's a big deal. And we're trying to raise, feed or create like 150,000 meals, which is a lot. But last year we shattered our previous record, and then this year hopefully we'll reach 150,000. But what happened was 2019, I believe, is when the first one was. Mimi was out doing her thing. At the time, she was part of the One Auto Council, but she's out doing her thing, and she has her own Ride or Die promotions that she does event planning. She's really good at it. She was approached at like a Dutch Bros about doing the thing at United Food Bank. So then she brought it back to the council and we said, okay, let's do this. So we're going to run this as Ride or Die. and One Auto. And so that's really what it's been. This year it's tagged as Ride or Die Presents in accordance with One Auto. But that's been very successful. And I've kind of let her run it with all the planning. We bump heads a lot because we're both creatives. And I'm just like, all right, you got this. Just let me know what you need.
Yeah.
And she does. She's great at this. And she was born to do this. So
Yeah, I signed up to volunteer, and
Thank you.
Yep, you can go online. Anybody listening to the website, and they can donate if they can't show. But yeah, definitely, hopefully it's a big turnout. I mean, we're gonna be on the Saturday, February
21st. Yeah, and that's a good deal. Thanks for bringing that up. So anybody could, and we've had people actually in the past years donate from other states because it's you get your tax donation receipt anyway. And when people register, we're limited to 100 cars. We're going to have a bunch of motorcycles this year too. But when you go to the link, which I have a link at the One Auto movement page, there's one at oneLESS Car Show, I think is our Instagram. I don't know. I can't think of that right now. But yeah, the oneLESS Car Show Instagram page, the link in the bio. If you register your car, I think it's $20. That counts. That all of that goes toward donation.
Right.
And so people can bring they could bring their food and all that stuff's listed on the website of what you can bring to donate. You don't have to bring anything to donate. If you register your car, that is a donation as well. We have limited number of t-shirts, and then people can also go in and sign up to help assemble food bags, which is actually a lot of fun. Doesn't sound like it's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun. You burn calories. We got the whistle. We have music going, and at the end of the day, the people that get the food bags benefit, and then everybody has fun, and it's just this. It's a great event that we do every year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, can't wait. Definitely, me and my wife, we've done a few volunteer works down at the homeless shelters. So yeah, feeding people, giving back to the community, it's really important.
That's a big thing because also what we do with One Auto, and Edgar's kind of like my number two. He's the vice, and basically he almost at this point runs One Auto. I always joke with him. Because if he were to leave, he almost moved for a job. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? Because before him was Mimi kind of being the main person with me. And she and I would always have conversations because we have people that are part of the council, but they kind of just, don't do anything. And I know I'm going to get in trouble by saying that. But the whole point of being part of the council is to help bring ideas. Say, hey, like you've done before with Andretti. Indoor go-kart racing. It's like, hey, Jay, we have this event coming up. Do you want to be a part of it? Can we get together and let's do it? And that's what ideally part of the council is. And Edgar brings stuff to me all the time and we talk about it and I bring stuff to him and we say, hey, let's do this. Are you available? Am I available? And so what we've done every year is we do a cruise. In the last couple of years, we've gone up to Cottonwood, about 2 hours north of here. We've gone to the Old Town Mission and everybody brings their donated items from here. Food, clothes, anything you would normally either donate to Goodwill, with the exception of food, right? And we go to Old Town Mission, and they give a presentation, they feed us, and we do a car show up there in the small town of Cottonwood. And so we've done that, and it's trying to find small charities that don't get a lot of recognition. Everybody around here does the children's, hospital,
right?
And but they get so much. They have such an endowment, the big one, but it's also a popular thing to try to link your effort to because more people are going to be like, oh, okay, Phoenix Children's. Yeah. But they get so much.
Right.
And it's not that they don't need it, but they literally have warehouses full of donated items. And so let's try to find those other people who get no recognition. Even St. Mary's Food Bank, we did a small thing with them and ELG. And Kaylee Slaughter, which is a local huge influencer on a motorcycle. And so,
yeah, I saw the Instagram tag this morning.
She's awesome, and she's going to be a future guest.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I got one more thing to kind of ask you about. I mean, you're about to join the club, so a lot of people are going to be coming to see you soon. You want to tell people about what's going on for you?
Yeah, so by the time this episode, I guess I've been forced for this to be the next episode. So by the time this episode comes out, actually this episode will come out on my birthday. So that's Monday, February 9th. That's when I officially turn 50.
You joined the club, buddy.
Join the club.
How's it feel? Does it feel real yet?
it started feeling real when my back was always hurting. You know, I need to hit the gym.
Do you have your membership? Is it up to date?
AARP?
No, the gym membership.
You know what? I do have a gym membership. It is right across the street, and I haven't been now in almost 2 years.
Yeah, you got to physically prepare your mind and that's what I have to do, man. I have to, because I'm working from home, I have to set myself like 10 o'clock, out the house, get dressed, put on some clothes, and go to the gym, get out of the house for a minute or drive around, come back, and then refresh myself, get new thoughts. You got to do it, man.
So here's the deal. My employer is West Coast, and some people know this about us here. Some people don't, but our time, we don't touch our clocks, but we go back and forth between Pacific and Mountain Time. And so they start work at 8, which is 9 for us now. So when the clock shifted, I left my alarm for 6 with the intention of eventually getting up and going to the gym like I used to do in the mornings and coming back and working my day. I have yet to do that. Next thing you know, I mean, was it March? Do the clocks change again?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So maybe I have to wait till the next cycle.
Yeah, spring forward.
You know, or just get up at 7 and go to the gym. Because when I first started doing that a couple of years ago, I got up too early and the gym wasn't open yet, which I was surprised. So then for a little while, but what I do when I go there, I just hit the treadmill and I walk.
Yeah.
I speed walk just enough to burn fat. I don't do cardio, none of that shit. And then I might do light weights because I'm 50 and your body like literally starts to deteriorate. So you're sustaining muscle. You're not necessarily building muscle. You know, I've listened to people talk about that are, you know, fitness people and people who used to compete with bodybuilding. And that's the thing. Once you hit 50, 55, you're not going to be big like a 22-year-old ever, not naturally. You know, those weird exceptions like an RFK Jr. who's weirdly built like a superhero to be, I don't know, 75 or whatever he is. But I still need to get in there for my health. I need to get back with a physician. I haven't had a doctor in a couple of years. You know, so it's time to get those normal checkups, get the blood work just to make sure, you know, if I'm genetically, you know, predisposed, you know, the diabetic or pre-diabetes range, just make sure I keep my health. Because now with the grandkids,
yeah,
I can't believe I'm saying this, you know, but man, those, you know, he's special. He's the oldest. But those girls, man, those fucking girls, they're the best, you know? And I'm just looking at them. I'm like, man, and I'm starting to do the math in my head. You know, the youngest one just turned 1.
Yeah.
The one that was previously like I was her favorite person in the world. Now I'm one of the top 5, and I'll live with the top 5. You know, it's like just 10 years from now, when I'll be looking at turning 60. You know, she'll be 15. You know, and Zeke, you know, he'll be, you know, so it's just like he'll be getting out of high school.
Yeah,
and I'm ready. I'm not ready to see it, but I'm welcoming it. So I got to take care of myself.
Yeah. You definitely do. We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. So, yeah, my youngest daughter, she just graduated high school last year. She's got her freshman year. She's in college down in Georgia. So,
yeah,
proud papa, you know. But, yeah, we got to take care of ourselves so we're around. So, since I'm hosting the show at the end, I want to make sure people tune in. And if you want to check out my websites, check out couchplaypro.info. You can also check out treadandtorque.info for information on what I got going on. I'm going to throw it back over to Jay to finish up here.
No, man, that was perfect.
Appreciate it.
Hey, who do you have in the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl, I've got...
you know who's playing, right?
Yeah, I got Seattle.
That's right, because you're an NFL guy, because you're Atlanta, and you always got your Bijan Robinson jerseys on.
Yeah, so I got Seattle.
Yeah, I think I picked Seattle on last week's episode when I had Q on the Zoom.
Cool. Guess what? I made a Super Bowl app.
You made a Super Bowl app?
I made a Super Bowl app. I'm going to probably publish it tonight. It's basically a fantasy draft when you come into the house, but you're not drafting people, you're drafting plays. So it's going to be special plays that may happen.
But these are generic plays because you don't actually know the playbook.
Correct. You got to check it out. It's not plays like Exactly. Or things that happen like a safety return for a, touchdown, those sort of things. So
Like fantasy football almost plays.
exactly. It's a fantasy football type draft. And then we're going to have a football trivia for halftime with Super Bowl commercials and old Super Bowl themes. So there was a contest on one of my sites that I'm using to build a Super Bowl app. So
All right.
I put this together, and I'm probably going to publish it so people can maybe use it this weekend.
Sounds good, Drew. Thanks for coming through.
Appreciate you having me over here.
All right.
Next time.
Hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Drew Bunkley. It's always a pleasure having him in studio. As I sit here, I have an entire desk full of birthday gifts, bottles. I mean, you can imagine, right? I mean, I just turned 50, and it was such an amazing weekend. This microphone is like in my face. Let me lower it a little bit. It was such an amazing weekend, and man, so many social media happy birthdays, so many text messages. I appreciate every single one of you, all 12 of you watching this or listening to this on Spotify and or YouTube. I 100% appreciate you. The weekend started off with, Saturday it was really hectic. I had my 50th, and, Wes Tankersley had worked really hard behind the scenes, and a lot of our really loyal friends from One Drink Wednesday, the show that he and I do, and I don't talk about that show very much, but of course we do that every Wednesday on Instagram Live. And the funny thing is, a lot of people look at that and they say, hey, I watch your podcast, the podcast that you do with Bourbon and the podcast that you and Wes talk about. And I go, that's not a podcast, that's just the Instagram Live. And, you're welcome to join us. You don't even have to have a real alcoholic drink, like we drink, but we have we call them family at this point. We have family that join us every week, and sometimes they're drinking, sometimes they're not. We talk about current events, this day in history, the National What Day, like today could be National Pineapple Day, I don't know. And then we do a movie trivia, and it's a lot of fun. But, I want to thank, I have a lot of people to thank, but I want to start this weekend off with thanking Wes for getting my weekend started. And everybody in those videos, he kicked it off with Noah Nelson, friend of the show, obviously son of actor Craig T. Nelson. And, we've met him through relationships with Catherine Cox, who I did not have at my get together, but she will be here in studio really soon, and she'll probably yell at me for it, and I deserve it. And, we had our good friend Cece. And, it took a lot. It takes a lot for her to get on camera and talk and show face. And it meant a lot to me for her to do that. Sean Tessier, all of our favorite people, Anna on One Drink Wednesday. Awesome. Emilio, there's so many people, Bob Chat, like so many people chimed in. Ramsey, of Automotive Specialty Tool, and a dear friend of mine. He's the only one who brought up our disagreements in politics. So this was pretty much a political free weekend, which is always great. But, one of my best friends, I mean, it's hard to say my best friend when I have so many. And I consider myself enriched and wealthy in the relationship category. My dear friend Greg came into town from Washington, D.C. I went to his Army retirement 2 years ago. And, we had worked together for a little bit, but he was one of my two best men at my wedding. And then, my good friend Jeremy and his wife Kristen, I guess she's my good friend now. They came in from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Alex and Jen, of course, came in from Seattle. And, my boys came over from California. Lamar Lyons, who was on the show last year, former Raider defensive back, former Baltimore Raven defensive back, Lamar. He brought over his friend Lincoln effing Kennedy, over 10 years in the NFL, offensive lineman. Such a nice guy, gentle giant. I mean, this guy is probably 6'7", but he was at my birthday party. My good friend Jay Jones drove over. He has over 300 pair of Jordans. I gave him, well, I didn't give him, but I have the original flu game Jordans. And I tried to sell them online once, and people said, no, those are retros, those are remakes. I go, no, these are the OGs. And I even have the box from Finish Line. And I told Jay about these, and he came over and he took the box with him. And I said, dude, just sell them. I don't need them. They're just sitting in my closet. Sell them, take your VIG, take your profits off of it and give me the rest. I don't care if it's 50-50, just sell them for me. So he's going to try to sell those for me. And obviously, you know, Jay Tuck was over here, the famous Jay Tucker from the stories with Dre. So Dre and Leo were over here, Valeria, which is Jay's wife. And of course, surrounded by many of my friends, and I've got so many people. This was an RSVP event that my wife put together, but there was a lot of people. I would have loved to have had enough money and had enough room and just opened this up, and I probably could have had 100 people here. But I'm so blessed for the people that were here, family, friends. You know, my wife, like I said, my son, my daughter, my sister-in-law came into town from Austin, and she always pulls through with the party decorations and preparation. And man, you know, it was weird not having the grandkids at the party. They were at home. It was more of an adult thing. We had a bourbon theme. But wow, like what an amazing weekend. And I haven't touched any of these boxes and bottles and stuff in front of me, or haven't opened any of the cards yet. But it's always funny because and also Kurt Olvey, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for the real-time rye. I did open that now. And I got it in the mail, and I go, from Kurt, this is interesting. Then this is either coincidental or he sent it to me for my birthday. And he sent me a text message, hey, don't open the box until your birthday. And so I finally opened it, and real-time rye. I got a lot of One Drink Wednesday stuff here that I need to get through. But it was so amazing. We had the big 50 balloon in the swimming pool, had a DJ Steve Swangaroon. Shout out to Steve for being able to make it. And then I had people local that RSVP'd and just couldn't make it. And, you know, it's just, you know, I look at that event, I look at the people around me, all the laughing. And then even Super Bowl Sunday, by the way, congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold. You know, Q and I talked about that last time. They won pretty convincingly. That game was in hand. You know, I want to pivot really quick. I saw a clip of Shedeur Sanders, and he was playing flag football, and he threw the ball to Jamar Chase, and it went off of his hands, and it got picked off by the defense. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're playing, it's pretty good. They're playing these skills challenges. And then I realized that was the Pro Bowl. Like, I completely forgot that they don't wear pads anymore in the NFL Pro Bowl, and it's ridiculous to look out there and see these people playing flag football. Flag football. They should just cancel the Pro Bowl. They should just name people to the All-Pro team, which they do. They should have the All-Pro AFC first team and second team, All-Pro NFC first team, second team, and that's it. They get the accolades towards their Hall of Fame, toward their Hall of Fame career, and that's it. Because if you're not going to show up and ball out, and I get it, your body is worth a lot. You get paid. Sometimes the team ownership doesn't want you out there, but it's just a mockery of the game at this point. And I was talking to Q about it, and he said it's just as bad as the NBA All-Star game. Those guys don't want to play the regular season games. They're always trying to sit out. You think they want to go play this shitty pickup basketball game? But anyway, I wanted to rant about that a little bit. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Such an amazing weekend. And I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota, SparkForge AI from Marcus Foundry, AutoCannon, officially licensed Honda and Acura gear. Hey, I wish I could have had my boy Michael from AutoCannon over here. I feel bad about that. And Patreon Business Supporter, Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. The aforementioned Automotive Specialty Tool out of Owings Mills, Maryland. Big House Small Home Design out of Ashburn, Virginia, and Traverse City, Michigan. Shipping Success Treasure Valley out of Boise, Idaho, and that's Wes Tankersley's his gig. If you want to support the podcast, you can. You can go to patreon.com, Hard Parking Podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just click the little thing and become a member. It's like, I don't know, $2 a month or something. I don't know. But, those type of things really motivate me and keep me going. Our podcast guest, Drew, was, of course, here. Of course, right? Of course, Drew was here. So I want to thank Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Sadie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones was here, Bo Jung, Alice Gamina was here, Drew Bunkley, Andre Mullins. Email the show, info@hardparkingpod.com. You can subscribe on YouTube, like I said. Follow me on Instagram, hardparkingpod. I'm really trying to grow that Instagram channel. I can't grow like telling the world how good the show is. I know I haven't said that in a long time, but you know what? I'm bringing that back. So let's do this. Let's grow this thing together, and I will talk to you all next week.
Shut up!